Absolutely. So everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. Anyone who's new here, very special welcome. Anyone who came back this year, thank you so much for believing in us and supporting our webinars. They wouldn't be the same without you guys. I just want to welcome you all to our first webinar of the year. My name's Alexa, Operations Manager here at the BPM RIA office. BPM RIA stands for Broward, Palm Beach, Miami Real Estate Investors Association. We are the only local chapter here in South Florida that's approved by the National RIA. So we welcome you here today for our webinar, From Zero to Becoming a Short-Term Rental Hero, with local real estate mentor, Antonio Lopez. He is here, guys. So just a quick announcement for you guys. We have a raffle today. So thank you guys for being in this live webinar right now. We will raffle a 1-year membership to BPM RIA, $295 value. Anyone that already has a membership and wins this raffle, we will extend it for a year. So if you'd like to enter the raffle, go ahead and text the word membership to our event line 954-800-6961. And if you guys have any issues with the texting, because it's been a little bit iffy, no worries. I will look out for that and make sure that I pick a winner and that everything goes good with the raffle. So go ahead and take a picture, or I popped it in the chat for you guys, and we're going to keep on moving along. All right, some upcoming announcements, everyone. We are slammed this January, a lot of good stuff, some good trainings happening. This Thursday, we have a webinar, wholesaling webinar with Anish. If you missed the in-person workshop last weekend, do not fear. We have a live webinar for you to join. We are going to get into it. 90 minutes. It's going to be a jam-packed webinar learning about wholesaling. So go ahead and register for that free webinar right now on our website, bpmria.com. I'll throw the link in the chat for you guys so you can register for all of our events right now. And then this is, guys, we're going to talk about it today. Don't worry. I'm just going to tell you a little bit, but we will talk much more about this today. This Saturday, we have a paid Zoom workshop. This is going to be a full-on 6-hour training with Antonio. Very much personal. It's going to be very extensive. It's very detailed. I can't wait for you guys to hear more about it. But obviously, you're going to learn how to short-term rental Airbnb business like a pro. So look out for this. It's posted to the website, and make sure you ask your questions in the Q&A today if you have questions about this workshop coming up on Saturday. We really want to set you up for success when it comes to Airbnb. And then, of course, you guys, you know, Jose Ramirez, our chief tax strategist. He's coming in for a webinar next week, tax planning strategies for real estate investors. You will not want to miss this. Again, go ahead and register on our website. And then big shout out here. This is a big deal, guys. We only have a few of these per year. So we have our upcoming 2-day quick start training, January 21st and 22nd, Saturday and Sunday. We start at 9 a.m. on Saturday, go to 5 p.m. And then Sunday, we start at 9:30, go until 5 p.m. This is all live. This is all on Zoom. The entire training is led by Anish. If you're interested in learning about wholesaling, rehabbing, flipping, you want to go to this training. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but this is another incredible webinar. You guys may recognize this name. I would hope you do. Sean McMurray, our BPM RIA ambassador. He's going to be teaching a workshop, or a free webinar, I should say, and a workshop. But this free webinar is coming up end of January. Go ahead and register for it right now, because he's awesome, and you guys are going to take away a lot of good nuggets from that one with Sean on the 26th. So go ahead and check the website out for all of our events. Of course, if you're opted into the text raffle and you're also wanting updates on events via text, all you have to do is text BPM REIA, all one word, to our event line 954-800-6961 to get text alerts for events. And you can register straight from the text. So it's super easy. All right. Quick Start Boot Camp. I have a big number. I want to say I have like, gosh, we have a lot of seats filled for this. So if you're interested in the 2-day Quick Start training, I highly recommend you send me an email with any questions, respond to this poll that just popped up. Let's get those questions answered and let's get you signed up for the 2-day Quick Start training. I see most of you in here have already attended, so there's a reason you're still here. You are liking the education that you're getting here at BPM RIA. So let's do this thing. I see the second majority of you are interested in this training. So let's get those questions answered. Let's get you signed up and ready to start this training. It's coming up around the corner, Saturday and Sunday. You will need your booklet. You will need your itinerary. You're going to need your Zoom link. We need to prepare and get you guys set up for success for this 2-day Quick Start training. We're going to touch on wholesaling, flipping, rehabbing. We're going to have 4 incredible guest speakers, all business owners, and this entire training will be led by Anish Dave. So you are going to learn so much. If you're even interested in the mentoring and coaching program, I highly recommend you attend this Quick Start training. Let's spend 2 full days with us. Let's see how it goes. And then let's see where we go from there. We have people doing deals right after the Quick Start training. So,
yeah. And I just want to add, just so you guys know, we do have limited seats for this event now. We're almost sold out. It is a meeting format with cameras on, so it's going to feel like a classroom. And more importantly, I also give you my money back guarantee. So our member pricing is $495. Our non-member pricing is $695. Again, if you're not happy with it after the Sunday, you could gladly email me and I'll give you your money back. So it's truly one of those things that if you've been on the sidelines, this is the time to do it too. So.
Absolutely. There's going to be a nice variety of people in this training. You're going to be in this training with our new mentor students that just came on board and need to attend this training. We're going to have realtors. We're going to have brokers. We're going to have all sorts of people that want to learn our strategies and what we're doing different so that you can be successful. So let me know what questions you have, and thank you guys for responding to the poll. Alrighty, members, you guys know that you guys get all the discounts, all the goodies. You get the entire National RIA benefit package. Your guests even get perks when it comes to the in-person networking events. We just did this in-person networking event. I'm so happy to see so many members out there, but I did see so many non-members. So you guys are obviously interested, and let me know what you think. If you see yourself using these benefits, let's get you a membership. We got discounts to Home Depot, Office Depot Business, Avis Budget, Rent Perfect, the list goes on. So I will make sure all of you have my contact information by the end of this webinar, but I am seeing that many of you are interested in the membership. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's get you the membership so you can get the member pricing for the Quick Start, get you in free for the in-person networkings, any workshops that we have going on. We have member and non-member pricing. So let's get you some savings there when it comes to your education this year.
And one of the things I like, and Antonio will go into it, but we do have member pricing for Saturday too. So if you're doing this right, you're actually getting paid to become a member of our organization. So
absolutely. Yes, you have to look at it and when you look back at the year and see what we're doing and how much we would save at being a member. So there you go, guys. Mentoring, coaching. So a lot of you know we do offer one-on-one coaching and mentoring here at BPM RIA. Some of you do not know. So for those who are, having questions or just want some more information, we actually do have a link right on our website on bpmria.com. You can book a discovery call with me or a mentor. We will go ahead and answer as many questions as we can. I'll be sure to give you the brochure with a breakdown of everything that's included, as well as pricing when it comes to the mentoring and coaching programs. There's a lot that's involved. So this is why I'm more than happy to set up a 1-hour conversation with the mentor. This can be all over the phone. It can be on Zoom. I just want to make sure we get your questions answered so you can have the information you need to make a good decision and see if our program is a good fit for you. We do put up 100% of the money for our students' deals. We split the profit 50-50. I know that sounds very unique. We know what we have on our hands here. So let us know what questions you have. Go ahead and book that discovery call right on our website at a time that works for you, time that works for us. We're more than happy to get you the information you need to make a good decision. This is my direct line here at the bottom, so you can call me there. Best to always follow up with an email if I don't pick up, because I'm probably on a meeting with someone else. So please, guys, you all have my contact information by the end. I also just threw it in the chat for you all. So I'm excited to talk to you guys and on. But last but not least, I want to just thank you guys so much for being in this webinar right now. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, Anish. We're so grateful for the time and energy and everything that you give to our members and to our audience, everyone on Zoom here. We're really grateful to have you here. Thank the National RIA. Thank you so much for giving us all these incredible benefits that we can offer you guys and just try to save your money and grow your businesses. So
awesome. Thank you, Alexa. So for most of you guys, I see a lot of familiar names. If you don't know who I am president of BPM RIA. As Alexa said, we are a chapter of National RIA, the only approved organization here in South Florida. I am super honored, and I did listen to you guys last year. We did a lot of webinars, and you guys kept saying short-term rentals. I want to know more about that. We put some of those questions. So unlike what my wife says, I do listen to you guys. So I did get Antonio on board. So I've been very fortunate to know Antonio for 10 plus years. He was an original student through our coaching program, and he's really, his passion, I'll let him talk about it, is, short-term rentals, Airbnb, all the above. And I've learned a ton of things from this young man. And the cool thing is, some of you guys know I've been working with the Miami Dolphins and the Business Combine and PAC, professional athletic community. And these young athletes, NFL players, and some are retired, are, guess what, in love with short-term rentals and Airbnb. And one of the things on these programs, we showed Antonio's Airbnb right here in Fort Lauderdale, and it was amazing. Like, when I tell you, these guys were like, holy cow. And when I look at Antonio's numbers and what he's done, it's just like, it's taken it to another level. So I am, super excited to have Antonio actually doing his first webinar with us, the first of many, hopefully, as he starts building this short-term rental business. And when I say him, he's like, hey, did you know you could do this and you could do that? And, I could only remember like 2% of what he tells me. So that's why we truly have an expert. And in these 90 minutes, it's not enough time to go over everything. And that's why we're doing a full day workshop with Antonio. So I am going to pass it on to Antonio. Mr. Lopez, the floor is yours. And let's rock and roll, guys.
Let's go. I am pretty excited to be here. Thank you, Anish. Thank you, Alexa. Thank you, Michelle. Like Alexa mentioned, I really appreciate everybody, being on the webinar, what it takes to set this up, the preparation, and the, just the time that it takes to get this done. So I really appreciate you guys for allowing me to speak on this platform. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so I prepared a PowerPoint for everybody, right? So, the reason that I called it Zero to Becoming a Short-Term Rental Hero really is because that's kind of the way it feels, right? And I'll go through the slides here. There we go. So, when I first started out, it was really just, like and I'll be honest, I just didn't want to move any of my stuff, right? Like, I had to move. I was moving to Fort Lauderdale, and there was so much stuff at my place. And I actually had a friend of mine who told me, hey, why don't you try this short-term rental thing? Why don't you try this Airbnb thing, right? And at that time, I had my doubts, like I'm sure many of you do, right? I'm sure many of you have your doubts, questions are vary from, I have a house way out west, it's not going to make any money, or people have told me it's not going to make any money, right? Which that's what was the case with my property. It was like way out west. It was in Hialeah Gardens at the top northwest corner of Miami-Dade. And I honestly thought that, I was like, this thing might work. And if it does, then good. Then if it doesn't, I could always do long-term rentals. So, over time, what I came to realize was that, I really had to take things seriously. And I'll get into that story a little bit now. But the idea here is that with what you're going to learn today and during the workshop, that you'll be able to get up and running in 120 days or less, right? And not only that, but that you're going to get started in a way that, I could only have dreamed of getting started when I started out, right? And we're going to go over some of the quote unquote secrets that I've figured out, that I've had to pay for, that I've had to spend time going to seminars, and I've had to be on different webinars and listening to all these different people, and all the, again, all the time that I've spent on trying to figure this out, right? So the idea is that you're going to be, what's the word? You're going to be like exposed, right, to a lot of these principles that really can accelerate not just how much money you make, but like the level of professionalism that you give out to the guests. Because we all know, right, a lot of these websites, they deal with reviews, and it's really important that these guests' experience are the best, right, and that they're free from any kind of issues or troubles. So that's the idea of this webinar. So, I personally believe that owning a short-term rental, or even doing what's called arbitrage, for you that don't know what arbitrage means, that's when you rent a property and then you Airbnb it out, right? The idea here is that you're making at least 2 times the rent, right? And in many cases, you can make more than 2 times the rent, right? So 2x is my baseline for, okay, is this going to be worth it, right? And for those that know, that your numbers are everything, right? When you're going to go sell a property, like I have colleagues in the business who have sold properties that are only worth really like 450, and they've sold them of upwards of like 600, right? But why? It's because their numbers are so good, right? They can show, documented paperwork and deposits in their bank account that show, hey, this property is worth this much because it can produce this much, and they sell it turnkey. So getting at least 2x rent is my baseline. And more importantly, or not even more importantly, because making money is really important, right? Really importantly is doing it legally, right? So you could do short-term rental, right, and not pull any licenses or anything like that, but chances are they're going to come knocking at your door, especially now with the advances in AI, with the ease and with the experience that these guys have already from the city to find these types of properties that are not licensed, right? It's only a matter of time before they come knocking on your door, right? So the idea here is to try to make a lot of money and to do it legally, right? Which also surprised me too. I'm not gonna lie, getting the licenses was relatively easy, and we'll go into that in a couple minutes now. So first things first, like you guys, some of you know who I am, but probably most of you don't, right? So I'm Antonio Lopez. I've been doing this for like about 6 years already. I started off with one property. I ended up doing the property that I had in Miami Lakes. I had another one in Fort Lauderdale, which was a 4-bed, 2-bath. And then I even went as far as doing my own property. So I even did what some people on the internet called house hacking. I don't know if anybody has heard about that. And actually, I wanted to run a poll question real quick. I kind of want to gauge the folks that are on here. Let me see if I could get the poll question up. And I want everybody to engage with this question, right? Like I want all of you to go ahead and vote on this, right? So let me look here. Okay, so I'm going to launch the question here. And like I said, I want everybody to participate in this. I want this to be really engageful. If you guys could go ahead and take a moment and answer the questions so we could get an idea of what we're doing here. Okay, great. Fantastic. You guys are doing great. Already more than half of you have answered. The rest of you that haven't answered, take a look and check this out. Perfect. Thank you guys for participating. We still have a few more people that haven't answered. Go ahead and answer that question. Perfect. Okay, so from what I see here, mostly everybody wants to get into the business, right? So that's really great because you guys, again, are going to be exposed to a particular way of doing this, right? It's not just about throwing up the property, right? It's not just about throwing up the property and hoping that it works. Things have changed a lot. So, but we'll get into it right now. Again, you know, I'm Antonio Lopez. I've been doing this for like about 6 years. You know, I used to be the director of the Miami-Dade and Miami-Dade and Broward Real Estate Investors Association for a while. But enough of that, right? Let's all become billionaires real quick, right? So, and no, I'm just kidding. You know, chances are that when you first start out, you know, there's still going to be somewhat of a learning curve, although you're going to be able to really get ahead, right? Because of some of the information that I'm going to share with you today and more importantly, during the workshop, right? So, you know, results disclaimer, right? You might not make 70,000 your first year, right? Or 77 or whatever the number is, right? Personally, for me, when I first started out, what I really wanted to do was just really cover my bills and have some extra money so I could go traveling. Traveling for me is one of the biggest things that I love to do. For those of you that know me, know that I love being, you know, somewhere else, somewhere new, discovering new things. So that was my idea, right? I wanted to be free, right? I wanted to be free from my bills and just kind of live my life, you know? And so I thought that, you know, initially I thought that by just renting out the property long-term, meaning not Airbnb, that I could accomplish that. But the technical term is used as cash flow, right? Cash flow, the amount of money that I was making, aside from what I had to pay for the property, just really wasn't that much, right? It wasn't enough to, at least not with one property, it wasn't enough to really do what I was passionate about, which was to go out and see the world, right? So I figured, I was like, you know, 100,000 would be a good amount of money, right? So this is what I'm going to aim for. And I realized that, you know, 100,000 a year is only $273 a day, right? 274 if you round it up, right? So that was my goal, right? So far, you know, I've had about 5 properties. I sold 2 during the pandemic, and I'll get into that in a little bit about what happened during the pandemic and why that kind of changed the way that I saw short-term rentals, specifically Airbnb. And currently I have 1 property that has 2 listings. I was able to split it basically in 2 and create an additional unit because what I've learned in the past. And essentially one part of the house is a 30-day minimum stay. Okay, so, and I'll get into minimum stay strategies and whatnot, but just to give you an idea, just that one section, that 1 bed, 1 bath, for example, this month has produced 3,000, right? And it's 3,000 aside from commissions and everything that I have to pay Airbnb and whatnot, right? And the taxes that you have to pay the state and local authorities, right? So with the 3,000, that covers more, that doubles up on my, it doesn't double up. It's just slightly less than double of my mortgage payment, right? But then I have the other side of the house, which is a 4-bed, 2-bath, right? And that's just pretty much pure profit, right? And that one actually got rented out for about 30 days. And I'll show you guys the picture of the 2 reservations. So I wanted to go through this. It's from the poll questions. You know, this really is the perfect place for you guys, right? If you have, for example, if you already have an STR business, right? If you already have a short-term rental business, but you're having issues increasing your occupancy, right? Or there's this thing called orphan days, right? And I'll get into it once we get a little bit more deeper into the presentation. Orphan days are, for example, if somebody rents, like, of course, the most popular days, right? The weekend. So let's say they rent Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they check out Sunday, right? So your orphan days, if nobody rents during the week, is going to be like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? So you have 4 days where you're not being occupied, and that's just like money being lost, right? So if you're having that type of issue, you're in the right place. We're going to go and touch a little bit upon the, upon not only just the minimum stay strategies, but also price strategies and how to use that towards your advantage, okay? And if you don't have a business yet and you want to hit the ground running, you're 1000% in the right place, right? Because you don't have any bad habits. You haven't, you haven't gotten into, some of the things that we all run into as hosts, that can become a bad habit, right? So things that just you might think, oh, this is what's going to work. It's obvious, but sometimes it's not so obvious, right? You need somebody to tell you. And again, this is part of the reason that I'm doing this webinar, right? Who this is not for is for people who are, very, very well established in the business. And even then, there's things that I've talked to people that, that are very well established in the business. And we just have like we just shooting the poop, right? We're just talking. And I'll mention something like, for example, like private security, right? And people be like, what? You can do that? And it's the same thing that I thought, right? So it's not that it's not for people who are like, 100%, off hands and whatnot. But the reality is that, you can still get something, but this is more, this webinar is geared more towards the folks who are like relatively like at the beginning stages of their career, or people that are, already have a couple properties, but, want to learn a little bit more about these strategies that I've thankfully been able to figure out. So, what's an STR, right? And why are we saying STR? And why would you want to do this, right? There's a lot of reasons, right, why you would want to do this. I think the number one reason would be it's just because it's rewarding, right? Not just monetarily, but when you're able to provide someone with an unforgettable experience, right? Like when these people get to your house and they're like, wow, it's so clean. I'm so happy. Like my reviews are like, oh my God, the bed's amazing. I love the linens, it was so clean. Like that is so rewarding, because, like Alexa was mentioning at the beginning, like we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort on trying to get all this done for everybody, right? So it's really nice to hear that. Whereas in other aspects of real estate, personally speaking, like some people don't even want to see you. They're like, get out of here, get out of my house, right? And I know some of you can relate to this. So it's very rewarding, to be able to provide an exceptional experience for someone. And that's part of the reason that I'm so excited, that I'm so passionate about it, because I get to bring some, I want to say like some positivity to the world, right? These people are trying to get away. They're on vacation. There's a new trend called bleisure. I'm sure some of you have heard about this. Bleisure is like business leisure, where since you can work from anywhere, right? Some of these folks are deciding to, come to Florida. Anish was just saying up in California, unfortunately, the weather's not so great, right? And they're evacuating people. So people come to try to get away. They want to work. And it's my job to provide them with, again, an exceptional experience, exceptional customer service, and to make sure that my business runs smoothly, because that's going to reflect on, right, on their experience, right? If my job is easier for me and for my entire team, right, the experience for the guests is going to be amazing. So why would you want to do this, right? Number one, it's rewarding. Number two, you can make a ton of money, right? And I think that's the thing that really is like the quote, like the sexy part about this, right? It's the money, right? Like if you can make a minimum of like 2x rent, it's almost like a no-brainer, but it's not just that easy, right? And so you have to essentially, you have to weigh the pros and cons, right? And we're going to go into a lot more detail about this during the workshop, just so you guys know, right? Right now, I'm letting you guys know why would you want to do this, and really, is it a rewarding experience for me, for the guest, as well as a very lucrative opportunity, especially if you already, if you're aware of the principles and some of the strategies that I'm going to share. So, my goal for this webinar, right, for this web class or whatnot, is that I believe the best way for you to maximize your income from a property is through short-term rentals, right? And by the way, short-term rentals, and actually, let me go back for a quick second. What's an STR? I should answer that question first. I get carried away. I apologize. An STR it stands for short-term rental, right? There's midterm rentals, and of course, everybody knows about long-term rentals, right? Like year-long leases. Those are traditional rentals, right? Short-term rentals are usually reservations, right, that the guests make that are about 30 days or less. Midterm rentals are the ones that I aim for, which are about 30 days or more, right? Those are my favorite. And the reason that I like midterm rentals more than short-term rentals is because midterm renters usually are a different kind of client, whereas they can afford to pay, let's say I get 5,000 from Airbnb. Excuse me, these guys are paying like 6,000, $6,500, whatever it is, right? The Airbnb charges 15 and taxes are like another 15. So if somebody's paying me 5,000, right, that's an additional 30%, which is whatever, $6,500 or whatnot, right? So these guys have to have a little bit more money, meaning that usually, their demographics are a little bit more favorable, right? Whereas, if you put up a property, like I was saying earlier, the orphan days, and you put a low price just to kind of get somebody in there for like a 2-day minimum, you're I don't want to say you're gambling, right? Because the community is pretty good. But it is, you have a higher probability of them breaking something or disrespecting the property or breaking some of the rules than you would with a longer term, or a midterm stay. Okay. Moreover, you will make more money on a midterm stay. And I'll give you this example. If let's say somebody's staying for a month, right? And they're staying for 4 weeks, right? So if you have four individual reservations, meaning like one per week for 7 days each, right? Every time that person comes in and out, you have to reset the property, right? Like you have to clean it up and whatnot. So out of, let's say, the same 5,000 that you make out of those 4 reservations, you're losing like about, in my case, you're losing a little bit more than 1,000, right? Because my cleaners charge me $270, right? So it's $270 4 times, right? Versus a midterm stay, which is like, which would be the full 4 weeks, consecutively. You only get charged for 1 cleaning, right? And if they have to clean a little bit extra, right, they'll charge me a little bit more, right? And moreover, and I know I don't want to get off into the weeds here. There's just like so much to cover, but just to let you guys know, if somebody breaks the rules, right? We have like a list of house rules. Somebody breaks the rules, there are consequences, monetary consequences for that. Like I had somebody come and they smoked inside the house, specifically mentions don't smoke inside the house. Why? Because then the next guest complains. And now I have 2 guests that are not happy, right? One because they're getting charged and the other one because they're walking into a house that stinks, right? So you can do that, right? You can prepare yourself, right, for those types of situations by making sure that you set the standard up or that you set the bar right from the get-go, right? And hopefully we'll have enough time to cover this stuff. So like I was saying, in my opinion, the best way to do this and the most rewarding way to maximize your income is by starting a short-term rental, right? And the best way to build a short-term rental, or the fastest way, is through learning from somebody else, right? I bumped my head so many times, I'm surprised it's still round, right? Like, or whatever shape my head is supposed to be, it's still here, right? I've learned the hard way, and I've taken my hits, and you don't need to do that, right? Because you have me, and I have experience, and I know how to do this, and I just, all you guys have to do is do it the easy way. Don't don't do what I did, right? So anyways, this is my first STR, my first short-term rental. This was actually the first property that I did. On this one, we were making a little bit over 2x rent. This one's in Hialeah Gardens. And I honestly thought nobody was going to be there, or nobody was going to rent. And lo and behold, there was a bunch of stuff that I didn't know about that was around me that people were highly attracted to. Like I had one guy that stayed with me. He started staying with me in March, which is the very best month. And back then I didn't know this, right? There's seasons, obviously. I'm sure many of you know this, but there's like a flow. And so this guy came in at the top part of the season and then stayed with me for like 6 months, right? And more. And so he was paying premium prices the whole 6 months. And what was great was that after the first month, I saw he was such a great guest. We just decided to work with each other, right? Like why have to pay commissions, right? And this is arguable, right? Like why pay commission? But at the end of the day, it was a fantastic opportunity, and I learned a ton from working with that guy, right? Because it was just what you call a direct booking. Back then, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was called a direct booking, right? But now I do. So, and this is just, this is me. I was talking, like Anish had said, we were part of the combine, and I was lucky enough that, I got to speak to some of these guys super young guys too, you know, phenomenal people, right? Like I see them on TV and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I met these guys and I got to talk to them. But anyways, first STR, right? This is what it looked like, right? The pictures are not that great. This was my this was the way I was telling people how to get to the property, right? I was like drawing on the pictures and taking pictures with my cell phone. You know, everybody has to start somewhere, right? So this is where I got started. As you can see, the picture quality is not the best, right? The roof is like all dirty, you know, you can see like some missing pieces in the window if you look really closely, right? And moreover, these were my check-in instructions, right? Which I was always on to something with the drawings and whatnot, because it doesn't look that bad, but the actual picture quality was pretty terrible, right? Like I had mentioned before, you know, what was it that I like really wanted to accomplish, right? Like externally, of course, I wanted to make money, right? I wanted to make a ton of money. I wanted to free myself up. You know, if I can make an additional $1,500 off of my rental, that's $1,500. You know, you could jump on a Spirit flight, you know, and this was a really long time ago. This is like 6-7 years ago, right? So, you know, I could jump on a Spirit flight and I could be somewhere, anywhere for, you know, minimum dollars, stay at a decent hotel and have a great time, right? And this thing is just paying for everything, right? So on the outside, I really wanted to go around and travel the world. On the inside though, what I really wanted to do was to be like a true professional, right? Like the guy in the picture was like, you know, like this is what I really want, right? And it was to have a business, right? At one point, I mean, I could use some like highly terminology. It was like a hustle, right? Like it was just this thing that I put together and it was making money and it's working. And hey, it's working. If it's working, you know, what is it? How do you say it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So that's kind of how it was. And then something happened, right? So I had some terrible guests, right? And they broke several things and they stole some of my favorite items. I had thought in the past, and this was, of course, a mistake that I had, you know, and I was only on Airbnb, right? And that changed a while later. And I'll let you guys know why. I was strictly on Airbnb. So I was giving them all my business, right? And back then, you know, the story was that, how do I put it? The story was that like it was a community, right? Like everybody, I don't know if any of you remember Lyft when it first started out. When Lyft started out, you used to jump in the front seat, you wouldn't jump in the back, and you would have to give daps. Daps means like you fist bump the driver, right? That's how it was, right? It was like a community. It was supposed to be like, you know, this again, like this community. And so that's what I had in mind. You know, when it came to the Airbnb, I was like, oh, these people are going to take care of my property. You know, it's a community, et cetera, et cetera. So no, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case with these guys, right? And you're always going to have like a bad apple or two. But again, you know, if you're prepared for it, right, you can mitigate that. But anyways, in this case, there was no mitigation, right? I didn't know that you could put in an insurance claim with Airbnb. I just went in there and I saw that, you know, for example, I used to be a big like Xbox fan, right? Like I used to play Xbox. I'm sure many of you know about this, Modern Warfare, right? Ooh, Modern Warfare. But with that being said, you know, they took some of my stuff. They took some of my games. They dirtied a bunch of stuff. They left a big mess. And I was like, we can't have this, right? Again, I didn't know. Right. And somebody was helping me too, by the way. Right. So I had somebody that was working with me. And unfortunately, you know, that person wasn't as aware at that time about these things. Right. So with that being said, you know, I kind of took the hit. Right. But what did that do? That led me to want to make my business more professional. Right. To really start looking at, OK, what do I have to do in order to avoid this in the future, because this is obviously does not work, right? It doesn't work for people to come and trash my house. So, excuse me, I'm talking so much. So anyways, so they came in, they stole items, they broke a bunch of stuff. At that point, I decided, okay, so I cleared everything out, right? Like, so I left it almost like a shell, right? But I left the nice little things around, what are they called? Like the artwork, which is like one of my favorite parts about this. The artwork, you know, the plants and whatnot, and I really spruced it up, right? I really turned it into a professional short-term rental, right? Like it says here, I quickly realized I had to run this as a business and not just as a hobby, right? Another thing that changed, and I'll tell you about what the plan, well, actually, I kind of got into the plan already, but just to kind of touch base on something else that had a really big impact on me was the pandemic. So for you guys that own 1 to 3, 3 to 5, and 5+, I know you guys will agree with me. If you own property, or excuse me, a short-term rental, or if you did arbitrage during the pandemic, you know, if your business was only on Airbnb, like you know, they really messed us up, right? And that really cracked my confidence with them, because I understand it's a pandemic, right? But there are policies in place put there by the hosts to avoid loss of revenue, right? Like I understand no new reservations coming in, totally get it. But anyways, so what I understood was that Airbnb had like all the power, right? They had all the power because they had our properties on their platform. And when it came to it, like I couldn't do anything about it, right? Like Airbnb is this like multi-billion-dollar company, and they just said, no, we're not gonna, you know, we're gonna cancel everybody's reservation and nobody's gonna get money. Later on, they gave us like half of the reservation, but still at that point, it just didn't work, right? So that quickly made me realize, okay, now I have to actually build a business, right? Versus putting everything on just one platform. And that's when I opened my eyes to the rest of the world, right? To the rest of the short-term rental, midterm rental world, which is, you know, and I'm sure you guys have heard of these, right? VRBO, right? HomeAway. Of course, Airbnb. Airbnb is the king. You can't avoid that, right? Like you want to put your property in Airbnb. They're the biggest one. They're the word is like Kleenex, right? You know, those little, what are they called? I don't even know what they're called. The little towel things that you use, the Kleenex. They're not really Kleenex. They're like little hand towels or napkins or whatever, but we call them Kleenex. Same thing with short-term rentals, right? That's why I'm using the term short-term rentals, because I'm taking it away from Airbnb. I don't want to call it Airbnb, but it is what it is, right? So, you know, it's synonymous with short-term rentals, in other words, right? So you have to put it on there. And then there's a host of other places, right? You could put it on Google, right? So like if somebody puts short-term rental on Google, right? If they put it on the maps, your property shows up like another business, right? Like if you were to put Miami short sale specialist, right? My business would come up on Google Maps, right? Same thing. If you do, if you put in like short-term rental or vacation rental, if you type that in, you actually go straight to, if they're set up this way, you will actually go straight to their direct booking website. And most of the time you will save money by doing that. Just that's FYI for everybody. So if you're going to a city, go to Google, put vacation rentals, and look at the vacation rentals directly, because not only are you going to save more money, but the host is going to make more money too. So it's better all the way around, right? And for those of you that do own properties, there are third-party insurance companies that will cover you, just like Airbnb does, right? And there's a host of them. We're going to go into that a little bit more in detail during the workshop, right? But yeah, there's a ton. There's like Guestly, or excuse me, Guesty. Guesty is what is it called? A channel manager, right? That manages all the different platforms on one space that has a unified inbox. And there's a couple of these, right? But Guesty offers an insurance product, Safely, Safely. Safely is another one that also covers you. And then there's like a ton more, and they all work differently. But anyways, you know, if it wasn't for Airbnb doing that, I'd probably still be on Airbnb, right? But it opened up my eyes, and I realized, okay, this is like, it's even more of a reason to start a business and not just treat this like a side hustle or whatnot, right? So I put on my tie on, right? And the plan was to try to automate everything, right? Number one, automate. And number two, really to set the standard like up front, like be very clear, right? My bread and butter, where most of, you know, my income comes from, is from flipping houses, right? Like I help people out of foreclosure. I purchase the property, you know, I fix it up. Sometimes I only do a little bit of fix up, and then I put it on the market, right? That's where my bread and butter comes from. But the way, you know, why I'm really great at what I do is because I'm very upfront with my clients, right? I'm very upfront with my pre-foreclosure clients, right? I make sure that I let them know, hey, look, this is what you can expect, right? not a penny less, right? This is how much I'm going to get you if, of course, I can. If not, then I explain the process very clearly. I answer all their questions up front, right? And so there's nothing left to talk about. And it's almost like the same thing with short-term rental guests, right? Like you want to be very upfront and you want to be persistent that these guys read the house rules, which I mentioned earlier, right? Because again, you want to set it up from the beginning, like, hey, this is my house, like I would appreciate if you don't come and mess it up, if you don't smoke in it, please treat it like your house, right? And of course you say it in a very, very, very pleasant way, right? But very assertive, right? And you make it clear that there are consequences, monetary consequences for not following the rules, right? With that being said, so the plan was to do that. The problem was that, of course, I really didn't know how to do that, right? Like I did all this stuff that I'm telling you guys. It's like it wasn't as obvious, right? And I did have some help, right? But even that particular business wasn't at the level of professionalism that I was aiming for. Again, aside from making a lot of money, what I really wanted to do was to become a true professional in this, and to a certain extent, be like the bar, right? That other people can measure themselves by, right? So, again, the problem being, of course, I did not know any of this stuff back then. So, from that time to now, I've just been able to accomplish a lot, right? Like I've done a ton of traveling, I'm lucky me, I've been able to go see concerts in another country. I took my mom to Alaska, I eat dinner with my friends at some really nice places, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what's possible for me now because of what I've learned. And more importantly, I think the word is scalability, right? Like now, because I have a formula set up, I can just get any property and just do the same thing all over again. I already know what to buy. I know what quality to buy it. I have all my templates for the answers. I have a team that supports me. Very low cost team, by the way. And it just, this is what I can do now. So, and finally I was able to experience myself as a professional. Like I can speak to people and let them know, hey, look, this is going to be a good idea. And this is why this is important. So, yeah. So like I said, after 5-6 years, I discovered the hard way, right, on how to do this stuff, and I want to make it easy for you guys by sharing this information with you. If you've been struggling with this with this business, right, like getting in, like you don't know why, I just want to let you know it's not necessarily your fault. You might have people telling you, hey, this is not worth it. Maybe, your property is way out too west. You can't make money out there. No, right? Maybe you're just concerned about the legal landscape, right? Super easy to get your licenses, by the way, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Maybe, you don't want to own property, but you're not really sure what to say to homeowners, right? Or you don't know how to evaluate a property. Maybe you're at the beginning, you're like, how do I know if this is going to be even a good deal? Aside from the house being out west, how much money can I make off of this property, right? So not only that, a concern could be, I'm afraid of getting like these really bad guests, right? They're going to throw a huge party at my house, I'm here to let you know there are ways aside from the house rules, right? And being upfront, there are other hardwares and softwares that will help you be able to mitigate these things. Like I said earlier in the conversation, like I was saying earlier in the conversation, there's things now like private security, right? Instead of your neighbors calling the police, they call the private security, they come through, they verify, whatever the software has detected, and they take the people out, right? And because they broke the house rules, it's part of the policy on the platforms or on your own direct booking site, right? You can just deal with it how you can deal with it, right? So there's an answer to most of the things that people are concerned about, right? So if you've been struggling, just, don't worry about it. Like it's normal, right? I had my own concerns too when I started, okay? So this is actually a picture of me on vacation on my phone with a friend of mine making fun of me back there because I was on the phone working. I was working because I had a problem. Some lady or one of the guests had an issue, and I, like I missed the sunset, and I'm literally like in this gorgeous crystal blue water, like out in, I forgot where it is in the Caribbean, right? And I'm on the phone working, right? So I had to answer, again, the hard way, right? Answer all my messages, manually set prices, constantly monitoring like local events, meaning things that were happening around my property, right? Answering all maintenance requests, which is exactly what I was doing right there, right? I had to pay people to create copies. Copies are like what people write for you. Let's say you have like an ad. If somebody writes the copy, they're writing the ad for you. So I tried all kinds of things out, trying to increase the efficiency and the how do you say it? Because I want to get into it, but so the platforms have like you can optimize your profile, and we're going to get to that, where it reads easier, right? And so it ranks higher, right? The verbiage, the pictures, all the stuff on your listing really makes a big difference as far as like how high up you rank. Now it has changed over the last 2 years, especially since COVID, and I'll go over some of that stuff now. Managing supplies, making sure there's enough toilet paper, enough, enough of everything, right? I calculated that I probably didn't lose money, right? But I definitely didn't make as much money as I could have at that property, right? And the reason being is that, the reason being is that I wasn't using the strategies that I know now, right? I wasn't using minimum day strategies. I wasn't using different prices on different days, right? And so I was just literally leaving money on the table, right? And of course, the most precious of things, time, right? So instead of me being able to enjoy my time, for example, like in this picture with my friends, watching the sunset or whatever, I was on my phone, right? And as you can see, I wasn't even looking at the sun because the sun is at the top left behind me. So, and it's a shadow on my face. So, I don't want to say they're like secrets because they're not necessarily secrets, but they're things that if people don't tell you, right, like you might not figure it out for a while, right? Again, losing some of that preciousness we call time, right? So, secret number one, and these are the top, look, these are the 3 things that if I would have known when I first started out, would have made probably the biggest difference, or some of the biggest difference, because there's all kinds of software and hardware, right? The first thing is legality, right? Like how to make sure you stay within the bounds of the law, right? And keep your HOA and your neighbors happy, right? That's if you have an HOA. If you don't have a homeowners association, by the way, that's what that HOA means. If you don't have a homeowners association, don't worry about it. That's a good thing, right? If you do have to check in with them and find out what, the rental restrictions are. You'd be surprised. Some places really don't care. But you got to check with them. The neighbors, you can mitigate that by going over, letting them know, hey, look, this is my professional business, right? Or you don't have to, right? You could just not worry about it. So, but anyways, you want to keep within the confines of the law. I think the biggest thing is, so you won't have to be looking over your shoulder, just wondering if they're ever going to come knocking on the door. I promise you they will come knocking on the door. Okay. They've gotten way smarter. They've gotten way smarter. They got more time on their hands, right? They have more tools to be able to do this. So, it's easy. It's actually easy to do it, right? And I'll go over some of that stuff right now. Number 2 is profile optimization. What I was just talking about, right? Like making sure that, your pictures are in the right order. Even the order of your pictures are important, right? Making sure that the pictures are in right order, that you're showing the right pictures, right? And I'll give you a tidbit, right? If your property has water anywhere, even if it's like a fountain that it's in the front, that's the picture that you want as one of your primary pictures, right? The algorithm on these websites love water, and and it makes sense, right? So the good thing is that the AI, right, the algorithm or whatever, it can distinguish, different types of waters or different bodies of waters. But again, as long as you have water in the picture, right, it works, right? Another thing is the copy, right? What do you have written in there? Do you have any, do you have comments on all your pictures? All of this stuff really helps to optimize your profile. aside from that, you know, if you really look at if you look at let's say, for example, Airbnb, right? And you look through, if you look at all the things that you can check off and all the things that you can edit, you want to do that, right? Like you want to try to check off all the things that you can, right? Like I have a baby crib at my place, right? I don't think not a single person has used the baby crib, but right, it's one more thing that I can check off. And the baby crib was like super cheap, right? Nobody really uses it. There's no babies going to my house, but hey, you know, it's something else that helps me optimize my profile, right? And at the end of the day, because my profile is optimized, because I show up higher on the rankings, right? What ends up happening is that I get more shows, more traffic, more conversions, right? Which is the goal. You want to convert, right? And which is also part of the algorithm. If your property is a high converting property, you will show up higher in the whatchamacallits in the search results. Okay. And I would say the third secret, right, which is kind of two secrets, so you guys kind of get a bonus here, price and minimum day stay strategies, right? So I'll give you an example. Or actually, let me follow this. Okay, so we don't get lost. So secret number one: how to make you stay within the bounds of the law and keep your HOA and neighbors happy, right? You're going to save time, and you're going to save a lot of heartache, right? My aha moment with this was, you know, again, when I looked at the professionalism of this thing, I was like, hey, if something happens, God forbid something happens, right? What's the insurance going to say? What are they going to ask? You know, and this is not like for sure, right? Like, I'm sure you can do something about it, but in my mind, right, if I have insurance, I'll give you an example. When I put in a claim with Airbnb, right, or any insurance company, even with my Amex, right, what happens? You have to turn in all the proof, everything, you know, all of your receipts, you know, what you paid for it, what is it called, the invoices from the companies, right? You need to turn all of that in. It all has to be labeled. Everything has to be clear for the insurance company to make a decision in your favor, right? So I thought to myself, man, if something goes sideways, I can just, you know, you can't be like that, right? Like you can't have this thing. So I decided to get it. And let me tell you that getting your license is like one of the easiest things in the world, right? There are some caveats, and we're going to go into that. Scalability, right? Now that I know how to do it, it's just a matter of putting in the money and filling out paperwork, right? So it's easy to scale this, you know, getting the licenses, right? I became risk averse, meaning, again, thinking about the insurance, I was, you know, I thought to myself, you know what? I don't want to risk anything. I don't want to risk all this hard work and all this profit just to have to pay it back, you know, because I didn't have a license or something. Ridiculous. So I decided to get my license. And again, it was like super easy. I highly encourage everybody to get their license. I know a lot of people don't get their license because it's quicker, it's faster, you could get online sooner. Even in that case, you know, I just go get the license. It takes maybe 4 weeks maximum, you know? So it's better to do that before you get caught. Super easy to do, right? Step one, go to Google, put short-term rental license or vacation rental license in whatever county you're working in. You know, for example, Broward County actually has like a checklist. It's how easy it is, right? They give you a checklist and they give you a step-by-step guide on how to do this, right? So if you look it up, right, it'll be easy. If you still have questions, do like I did, call and ask. You know, I didn't look like that guy, right? I wasn't like yelling on the phone. I just picked it because I thought it was funny. But people in this, like it says here, the people in this sector of the government are actually like super nice. They're super pleasant. You know, it's not like nothing against the DMV people, because even the DMV people are nice, but I've had, you know, tough experiences at the DMV. You know, even the inspectors were nice when they came in and they inspected the house. The guy was super cool. I mean, he was super nice. And I got my license, you know, and it was really easy. Fill out the paperwork and apply. Most of this stuff you could do it online. This is my DBPR license, right? So there's a couple steps. There's a couple licenses that you need to get, but some of these licenses you can actually get simultaneously. Right. So again, super easy. I highly encourage you, and it'll save you from this, right? It'll save you from having to worry about when they're going to come knocking. And the day that they do come knocking, you have to shut your business down, right? Like you have to stop, right? What does that equal? Lost revenue, right? You don't want to lose that revenue. Or this is the loophole. Let me see if I have it here. The loophole is this, right? And it's kind of like a loophole, right? Locally, it's a loophole, meaning that you don't need a local license if you do 30 days or more, right? So if your property is a 30-day or more stay, you don't have to get a local license, but you still have to get a state license, because the state license is 6 months or less, right? So the reason that I say that, and the reason I'm talking about the loophole, is because these guys, they got to come out and they have to inspect your property, and there might be risks involved. I know some. I have a colleague that he does arbitrage, and unfortunately, the guy's house, who was the homeowner, right? They had done some like unpermitted work, and when it came time to check, lo and behold, the guy flagged them for the unpermitted work, right? That doesn't happen in every town or every city, right? Some towns are a little bit more strict than others, right? They're looking for more revenue, or I don't know, maybe, whatever it is. But the idea being that, there is a small loophole. I don't want to say it's risky, right? Because you're doing 30 days or more. It just depends on the type of property you have, right? Like if you have a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house, and you do 30 days or more, 1 bed, 1 bath for 30 days, let's say it's $2,500 to like $3,500, right? It's a smaller investment than renting a 4-bed, 2-bath for an entire month, which might cost you $5,000 and more, right? So it's a little bit easier to rent out a smaller unit for 30 days than it is big one, right? So there is that. So that's kind of like a little bit of a loophole I wanted to mention. Another thing is too, another like small loophole is if you only have your prop. So there are certain platforms, right? That, and are we doing about time? Okay. I'm going to have to like run through this stuff because we only got like 20 minutes. So I'm sorry, guys. I mean, like Anish said, it's just so much, right? With that being said, anyways, the second like quote unquote loophole is that if you're strictly on platforms that pay the taxes for you, you don't have to get like the local business tax and the local license, right? It's only if you're on a platform that pays the taxes for you, right? So if you do direct bookings, meaning you have your own website, right? If you have your own website and you take in bookings, you have to pay the taxes. You're responsible for the taxes. If you're, for example, if you're on booking.com, right? Booking.com doesn't pay the taxes for you, right? So you're responsible for the taxes, right? Now, if you're like on Airbnb, right? Airbnb pays the taxes for you, meaning they collect and they send out the taxes on your behalf, right? If you're only on Airbnb or like only on VRBO, or Verbo or whatever it's called, then you don't necessarily have to get the licenses, right? Because those guys pay the taxes for you, right? So you want to look into this, guys. It's not, like I said, right? Give them a call, right? Give them a call and ask questions, right? Make sure that you start off the right way. I'll be honest with you. I didn't start out like that. And I got lucky because my condo was actually 30 days or more. So I kind of fell into the loophole by mistake. I didn't realize it, but it was a big scare, right? It was a really big scare. And I realized, hey, you know what? From now on, I'm getting my license. There's just no point in feeling like this guy or this lady or whatever, right? So who this works for is for people starting out, people who already own properties, people who don't want to own properties, people who have their own home. Meaning, if you have a room in your house that you don't use, you can always go ahead and do this for yourself, right? And you could do all kinds of crazy stuff too, man. You can rent out a boat. Like if you have a boat and it's docked and you don't use it, you can rent out the boat. People love staying on boats. You can rent out a trailer, like a mobile home, right? If you have an RV, right? If you're not using it, you can rent that out, right? You could go as far as renting out a tent. There's a story about a lady who was renting out a tent out of her backyard for like $65 a night. I mean, it's ridiculous. Tree houses, right? Whatever, it doesn't matter, right? But obviously it has to be safe, right? And it has to be licensed, right? You got to make sure it's all safe. And there are with the licenses, there are upgrades you need to make, right? And I'll just give you an example. Like one of them is the smoke alarms have to be synchronized, right? And I think that's pretty obvious, right? Like if there's a fire, you want everybody to know, right? So they have to be synchronized. They come in, they check them, right? So it has to be safe, right? But again, you could do all kinds of crazy stuff. And here's some examples. This is called the smallest house in the world. You can actually throw this in like the back of a pickup truck or something and take it with you, right? A glamorous home with a Tesla included, right? Like you could do little extras like that. I'm sure this guy probably rents his house for a lot. This one is a plane. It's an airplane house. So again, I'm just going out to kind of give you guys an idea. Like it's pretty crazy out there, the type of stuff. It doesn't have to be like a single family home. It could be, if you have something outside in the backyard that it's that you can upgrade and maybe put like a mini split in it, you could rent that out, and you could probably rent it out for enough money to pay for your mortgage, right? You do house hacking, right? So all kind of stuff. Look, crypt hotel room built in an actual crypt. Like that's super creepy, right? But people love it, right? And this is probably one of my favorites. I actually stayed in a place in Medellin, Colombia. It was it's glamping, it's glamorous camping, right? It was phenomenal. Let me tell you, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. So again, right? And in a dome, right? Like we were literally not even in a dome, we were in a tent, right? So where do I find a good STR, short-term rental to model, right? This is one thing that I think is overlooked by a lot of people. First thing is search. I know I put Airbnb, again, it's synonymous. So sure, search any of the platforms, right? Like search Airbnb, let's say you're going to take a trip, right? To California or whatever, right? And, you're like, man, I really want to get some ideas. I want to find out, how do they do it? How's their process? Find a property that you'd like to stay in, right? Go ahead and analyze their listing, right? How do you analyze their listing, right? You look at their calendar, right? This is the simplest way, by the way. During the workshop, we're going to go into something to the analysis that's a little bit deeper than this, right? Using some of the software that I use, right? But in this case, when I first started out, this is the thing that I used, right? I looked at their calendar and I saw, okay, today is the 10th. Wow, this guy's booked out till the 2nd of February. That means there's demand, right? This guy, and this is actually mine, right? This is my calendar. I'm booked out till February 2nd, right? So what does that tell you, right? That it's a property of high interest, of a high value, right? So what you do is if it fits the dates, right, and this is the property you want to stay in, you go ahead and pick your dates, right? You book it, right? But aside from that, look at how they set up the pictures, right? What pictures are they using? Remember how I said water pictures? If you look at the bottom right, I actually have a custom picture that I took, right? Which is another thing that you want to do. You want to use your own pictures, right? If you can, of the ocean. It was like sunrise and it was just like a perfect moment. And I took a picture. So I have that as one of my pictures. And my headline says, luxury home in quiet community close to the beaches, right? It's like 15 minutes max away from the beach, which is pretty close in my opinion. Like I said, step 3, go and stay there, right? Again, this is actually a picture of the property that I have. Go and stay there and experience it, right? Take notes, right? Look at the type of furniture they have. Look how they set it up. Look at how clean it is. Look at the type of refrigerator they have, like really soak it in. So like that, right, what you want to do with your own property. Okay, we're like about 12. Okay, we're 12. Let me see if I can get through this pretty quick. How to show up in top results by consistently optimizing your profile. So this part right here about doing the research helps you optimize your own profile, right? Because if you can look, and what's another thing, on Saturday, we're going to have Francisco from RIAFAX. He has a piece of software called B&B Vester. And, we had our own Zoom session, and we were going, we were talking, we were shooting ideas, bouncing ideas off of each other. And let me tell you, it's really powerful because it helps you be able to look at what's around you, right? So you don't have to be a tech person or an SEO wizard. SEO means search engine optimization, meaning, how some websites show up first on your Google results, right? That's because they did a lot of optimization. So the search engine can find it easier, right? So you don't have to be an SEO tech guy or whatever, right? I realized what was important just by reading a book, right? Again, like I've taken the time, I have ADD, so I tend to become hyper-focused on tasks that I'm really passionate about. And in this case, it has become an obsession, right? So I'll go through this real quickly, great description, really look at your property and think about, I forgot what's his name. I'm drawing a blank on this guy, but he was talking about, and I got this from one of from the old Bria webinars. He talked about Chris Goff. There we go. He talked about peeling the onion back several times, right? Like what happens? You peel the onion back. You peel the onion back. Okay, hey, I got a great refrigerator. Okay, why is that important? Oh, because it keeps your food fresh. Why is that important? Oh, because now my kid's gonna eat super healthy food when he goes to school or whatever, because it's lunch, right? So that's what you want to talk about, right? So you have to sit there and you got to like think about it, right? And try to get down to the experience, and try to write it in a way that's really easy to read, right? Not just for the algorithms, but also for the people who are reading the descriptions, right? So you want to have a great description. This is like the most important thing, even, and it's frustrating because I have friends that are doing this and they're making decent money. And I look at their profile pictures and they don't have professional pictures. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Like, people eat through their eyes, in Spanish, la gente come por los ojos, right? So, I mean, it's just, it's an easy way, and it's super inexpensive, right? It'll cost you anywhere from 100 to 150 bucks, and it's worth every single penny, guys. Every single penny. I can't stress this enough. Great pictures, right? Highlight your amenities, right? So if you have amenities, whether it's the hot tub at your house or whatever it is that you think is a really big, important highlight in your property, make sure you highlight it. Take really nice pictures of it. Take like those, what are they called? Like the portrait mode pictures. Don't do it yourself again, right? Hire a professional photographer to do this for you, please. Now, algorithm KPIs, I kind of touched. So KPIs are key performance indicators, right? And so you can actually get these when you list the properties, specifically on Airbnb. This is the one that I'm going to talk about. On Airbnb, if you go into your performance statistics, it breaks down all the things that they measure. Those are the things you want to pay attention to. Okay. Those are the things you want to pay attention to. They're literally giving you the cheat sheet. All right. So that's why I put this in there. Algorithm KPIs. You can go into your insights and look at this, and then you just work off of those, right? If that's all you get from this, do that, right? And take professional pictures. This is super important. What I used to have to do, again, pay people to write copy. I took photos with my phone. I used my own descriptions, which I obviously thought were great, but they weren't, right? Because they weren't converting. And at the end of the day, what happens is you lose on opportunity, right? You lose on the opportunity to make more money. So there's a better way, right? That's working with somebody that knows what they're doing, right? Somebody who's gone through all of this, especially if you're at the beginning. You haven't set up anything that you got to break back down. You don't have to go back and rewrite your copies or anything. You're starting off fresh, right? It's better if you get started on the right foot. Starting from, analyzing the property, right? Like knowing, how do you know if the property is going to be a good property? Not how much money is it going to make you, but let's say the world goes to hell, right? Will regular rents cover this property? That's what you really need to know, right? Who here thinks having a coach is awesome, right? Of course, right? If you have somebody that basically give you the cheat sheet, it just obviously, this is a rhetorical question, right? So let's go into secret number 3. How to use pricing to increase your yearly revenue using minimum stays to increase occupancy and reduce orphan days, right? So this is how you want to think about it. And I actually got this from another mentor, right? And once they explained it to me, it was like, it made such a big difference, right? So what you want to do is, right, when you're farther out, let's say you're 3 months out, right? You want your minimum stay to be like, whatever, 5 days, for example, right? So it's minimum. So this is what a minimum stay is, right? A minimum stay is how many days minimum does somebody have to rent your property, to be able to rent your property, right? So if it's like, for example, like right now in March, I think my minimum day is 7, right? So if somebody isn't going to rent for 7 days, I don't want them to rent, right? The reason is because then if I can rent them out for 7 days or more, what ends up happening is that I decrease the amount of those like 1 or 2 or 3 days in between the week that are not doing anything, right? Which is just lost revenue. So what you do is, the way that it was described to me is like grabbing a cup, right? And so the first thing you want to do to fill up the cup is put like big rocks, right? So you got 5, 6 like big ice cubes, let's say, right? You got big ice cubes. And then to fill in the gaps, you have smaller ice cubes, right? Like you have the crushed ice. And then to finally fill it up, you use sand, right? And so it's a very compact, right? Like it's fully occupied, in other words, right? So you want to have farther out, right? This is a big deal, guys. This is a big deal. You want to have a longer minimum stay further out, right? And as you get closer, then you drop your minimum stay requirements, right? So like that, whatever 2-3 days are left, right? You only have a 1 or 2 day minimum, right? And it fills up those gaps, but you have you have most of the week full, right? And again, what does that equal? It just equals higher occupancy. Occupancy means, if I haven't said it already, occupancy is how the percentage occupancy is how much of the property is occupied, like the percentage of it being occupied. So let's say if you have 30 days in a month and it's occupied 20 days, you basically have a 66% occupancy rate, right? So you want to try to get that up as high as possible, right? And that's part of the way that you do it. Another way that you do it is by looking at your pricing strategy, right? Oh, and this is a perfect example. I'm so glad I have this here. This is why I did this. You see how like they have some gaps in their calendar, how like only some of the weekends. So you see those days that are not filled, like right here. Let me see if I can. So you see like right here that it's not full. That's just time. That's just like money lost, right? Like that's just, I mean, it's, like every day your property is empty is a day that you're not making $200-300 on your property, right? So very important pricing strategy and occupancy strategy. Pricing strategy is important because what you can do is you can set. So what you do is you increase the prices on the weekend because obviously they're the most popular, and you decrease the prices during the week. That's basically what it is, right? Obviously you can get more sophisticated with it, right? You can get software, right? Software does this automatically for you, right? And it's relatively cheap. I highly recommend the software. Okay. We're going to go into that during the workshop. Again, you see like this one, this is the other unit that I have. I have orphan days on from the 26th to the 30th, but I'm pretty confident they're going to be filled because it's a weekend. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I have, again, basically all of January occupied, and then I have most of February occupied. So I just wanted to show you guys those orphan days. And I raised the price on them too. With the orphan days, I like to raise the price. It depends on you, right? If you want to give a cheaper price, you can. But again, remember, pricing typically dictates the type of person or the type of guest that's going to be entering. So like I was saying, in order to get this done, right, to set your pricing, you want to look at your competitors. You want to look at their you want to look at if their calendars are booked, if they're not booked, right, to show you what kind of demand there is, right? And that's again the easiest way to do it. You just zoom all the way down on the map on Airbnb and start expanding outwards, right? And the properties start showing up as you start zooming out. Okay. Set minimum stays, right? So make sure, like this guy you see, or this person, they have really good reservations, right? They have really, really great reservations. Almost the entire month is full, right? But let's say, for example, like this one day in the middle, that 14th, where you see the price that's 110 right here, that's called an orphan day again, right? So he'll probably put a 1 day minimum if he wants to do that. That's $110 plus cleaning fee. He might net whatever, $80-90. $80-90 is $80-90. That's a full tank of gas, right? Or two, depending on if you have a hybrid or not. Again, change prices according to demand. If there's like in Fort Lauderdale, there's the Tortuga Music Festival. There's what is it called this week? The week in March where everybody gets off, right? That's a super, super high demand. All of March is like crazy in South Florida, right? That's the month where we usually make upwards of $10,000, like easy. It's crazy. And so you want to set your prices, right? So I wanted to show you guys this. I did all of this, right? And so as you can see, my occupancy, and like you guys saw from the example earlier from my calendar, it's at 100%. So this was last year. If you see the dotted line, right? The dotted line was last year. The solid red line right here, right? The solid red line is this year's occupancy. Obviously, it drops off at the end of February because nobody has rented February, right? But that's just to give you an idea. I have data now from last year with this new property, and yay for me because it's working, right? And I want it to work for you guys too. So it used to be hard, right? It's still hard, right? But it's not as hard anymore, right? It's still a little bit of work, but it's getting easier and easier and easier. And I train my team, and they do a lot of selling too, meaning they follow up with the person. They're like, hey, did you want to stay? I just wanted to show you guys the dates. These are the two people that I'm currently, or the two guests that I'm currently hosting. So again, 3 secrets of STRs for me. If these are things that I wish I would have known: legality, profile optimization, price and minimum stay strategies. If you follow these steps, you're going to succeed, right? So let me ask you guys something. I want to share with you, in the last couple minutes we have, if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to share the special offer that we have for the webinar, for the workshop on Saturday, if that's okay with you guys. You're going to get 6 hours of value and actionable steps, right? We're going to dive way deeper into this stuff, like way deeper, as far as we can go in those 6 hours, right? The reason I did this was because, at the meetings, and this was actually the last meeting, everybody always asks me about short-term rentals. Everybody's like excited about it. Everybody like wants to get into it. And there's always like 4 or 5 people around me asking this. So like, this is the opportunity for you guys to go out there or not to go out there, to come to the workshop and learn, right? Like fully focused hours of value, right? But no selling, very little selling, right? Mostly value, almost all value, right? Why? Because at the meetings, people always ask me, whenever I talk to my best friends, they want to Airbnb their house, right? I talk to my mom's like, hey, can we Airbnb the condo over there? I'm like, no, we can't because the HOA, but everybody wants to know about this. So this is not just a good opportunity for you, but for the people around you, right? Because this can become a lucrative business for you, right? I personally, I want to share this information with you. I think that's where I best serve people, not as a property manager, right? I've had people offer me up to 50% of the revenue. I'm like, no, I don't want it. I really don't want to do that, right? What I want to do, I'd rather just show you what to do. And then you take off from there, right? So, I forgot to put a photo. How do you find so what you're going to do during the seminar, how to find the property, we're going to look at trends. We're going to look at the 2023 outlook, the most attractive features. We're going to go into the different marketing platforms, right? Meaning the different like VRBO, Airbnb. We're going to talk a little bit about those things, step-by-step guide on how to get your license, different insurances, right? Like third-party insurance, right? So let's say you get a direct booking, you're still covered, right? How to automate it, right? How to actually, set up the templates and what you have to do, what software you want to use. That's really the most important thing. We're going to look at key performance indicators, occupancy, average daily rates, RevPAL or PAU, meaning revenue per available unit. That's a really important one, right? How many days out are these people renting your house? That's another big deal, right? Like if people are renting your house farther out, that's really important to know, right? Because it helps you set your price strategy, right? Maybe you could increase your prices, 2-3% and see what happens, right? Maybe that goes down. But again, if you don't know this, right, you don't know how to mess with it, right? How to maximize profits. Again, we're just going over that, right? And like tons more, guys, right? So who this works out for is for people starting out, people without properties, people that have properties with long-term rentals. It really does work for all kinds of people with all kinds of properties. It doesn't matter if it's a house or a tent, right? Like if you can get a license on it, go for it. That's my, because it's going to make you money, guys. And it's going to be easy. If you don't have a property yet, don't worry about it. We're going to go over how to find like the right area. And moreover, like how to analyze it like in minutes, right? How to do a very simple analysis of the property. So, you're going to get legal, right? Just a legal alone is worth 2,000, right? Staying out of trouble, not having to pay those bills, not having somebody knock on your doors, 2,000, right? Automation. I do this for my own house, right? I do this for my own properties. I try to automate as much as I can, right? You'll be able to get rid of wasting time on repetitive tasks, slow response times. All these things affect your profile optimization, by the way. Having to scour different sites for your property analytics, right? So instead of going to all the different websites and having to sync your calendar, get software that does it for you. Producing income reports manually. You're not going to have to do that anymore. You're going to be able to get rid of inefficiencies in your process, human errors, right? Because now since it's automated, you just got it. It's like that commercial, set it and forget it, right? Loss of profitability, right? You're going to be able to get rid of that. Your profitability is going to go up because everything is automated. Guest experiences, right? We talked about that. That was like the first thing we talked about. You're going to be able to increase that, right? Time is your most valuable asset, right? I love this watch. You will earn higher profits and save months of time and frustration. Okay, take it from me because I did it, right? Like I had to spend my time and frustrations. So with the legal, the automation strategies, it's like a $4,000 value. Like if I could save you that much money, that's how much it's worth or more. What else do you need? Automation tools, right? We're gonna go over this on the whatchamacallit, the 6-hour workshop. You want to automate, right? Took me years to figure this out, right? You're going to feel like you're in the Matrix. That's why I like this picture, right? Because you're just going to see it, right? You're going to see it for the first time. You're going to be like, oh my God, maximizing profits, how to furnish your property without breaking the bank. Again, optimization, the software, the hardware, right? A lot of people's question is, how do I avoid parties at my place? There's hardware for that. There's actually hardware that can measure the amount of people in the property without it being invasive, right? Without you needing a camera, because you can't have a camera, right? So that's super creepy. But anyways, there's hardware for that, right? Why this is so easy? Because anyone can do it. It's a step-by-step process. Many of the steps, like the licenses, can be accomplished simultaneously, right? Like you could be renovating a property and at the same time buying furniture already, right? Or at least setting it up on Amazon or whatever. And not only that, but it's really, you have me, right? You have me. You have a person that you can reach out to, right? And I can help you out with this. What you're going to get, again, all this value, right? On top of that, you're going to need more traffic. Why? When you optimize, you're going to get more traffic. You're going to get a higher conversion rate, right? Again, you could do it the hard way. Take 5-6 years to figure this stuff out, maybe less, because some of you are probably really smart. But again, loss of sanity. I know I lost way more than $2,600, right? I paid staging. I paid expert consulting in the form of property management, right? I paid somebody to start building my website. I paid over $1,000 on copy. Again, all that added up is like $16,000 a year, right? Because this is on a continual basis. So in the time that I spent, that I lost months, right? So you don't have to do that. Again, you can stop worrying if the property will rent. Especially if you already have properties. I know the anxiety when you don't have your calendar full. You can calm down because your property will get full. You'll know what short-term rental websites to be on. You'll know what steps you can accomplish automatically. All you have to do is take action now, guys. Don't. And for a coach, some coaches will charge you $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60,000 to learn this. I just put 20,000 because that's probably what it's going to cost you, right? You get a lot of this value for a lot less money. The last thing you need is someone to help you out. I do it because I like to empower people, right? Many of you know me. I like to share. And this is actually just me at the very beginning. This is young Antonio and his first STR without any, what is it called? Without any furniture in there. So again, coming back, right? If all you did was to get, would it be worth it to you, right? Like if you could hit the ground for you guys that don't have properties, if you were to be able to do this within 90 to 120 days, what would it be worth to you, right? If you knew all the hardware and the software necessary to run this, what would that be worth to you, right? to get started legally without having the without having to worry about, them coming knocking on the door. Like, how much is that worth for you? Right. So you got two choices right now, right? We're running out of time. Two choices, right? First option is go cheap, spend years trying to figure it out, right? Might bump your head. You probably will bump your head a couple times and things will show up out of nowhere that you didn't expect. Right. Or you can just, do a little investment, right? In exchange for all the whatchamacallit, all the profitability and, all the value that you're going to get out of this 6-hour workshop, right? Again, what is it worth to you? $2,000, $3,000 a month to figure this stuff out? For one, right? It cost me over $16,000. That's why I got that face. It just sucked, right? It sucks spending so much money, but it is what it is, right? You gotta spend money. So, like I said, some people are willing to give me 50% of the revenue, right? But that's not what I'm here for, right? Now I can imagine why you guys would see it's a good deal at $500, right? Can I get a yay? And we'll get to the questions now. It's $997, right? Normally, but because you guys are special and you guys are part of the same RIA where I basically learn to become a professional, we're just gonna do it for $500, guys. And if you remember, you get it for less. I believe it's like $399, right? So again, you got two choices, right? First option, do nothing, right? Don't take the leap of faith. Or number two, go to the link like right now, sign up right now, right? And get started on this journey, right? Get started the right way. Get started like a professional, right? And if I can't help you, I don't deserve your money, right? Money back guarantee. If you sign up today and you don't like it for any reason, I really honestly do not care why, right? If at the end of this thing, you're like, hey, X reason, I want my money back, we'll be more than happy to give you your money back, right? Again, if I don't make you money, I don't deserve your money. The real question is it worth gambling a couple hours to check this out? Which if it does even half of what I'm claiming it's going to do, right? It will pay for itself, guys. As soon as you first analyze your first property, you're going to be like, oh, wow, I'm going to make so much money. Boom, there's your money, right? So again, like, thousands of dollars of value, 6 hours. And this is actually the special like gift, right? For the first 10 people that sign up like right now, I will give you a one-on-one session for free, right? Like we'll sit down on a Zoom. You got to come prepared though, right? Like you have to come prepared. You have to come with the questions. You have to be ready. First 10 people that sign up, I'll give you a one-on-one session on the house, right? I'll look at your profile. We'll talk about whatever issues you might have, whatever it is. I really genuinely want to help you guys out. Okay. So this is just a special gift. Again, you guys are part of the same RIA where I grew up and where I learned a lot of the things that I know about real estate investing. So guys, again, two choices, right? What the choice is. Like, go click on this link or click on the link, provided to you. I think Alexa will put it in the chat. And yeah, guys, let's get the show on the road. Let's get you guys started. And for those that you have already started, let's maximize your profits, guys. Let's do this. So I think that's it for me. I think I've talked enough.
Yes. If you guys are okay with staying on, we will answer some Q&A questions. I want to quickly announce our raffle winner for today's 1-year membership raffle. Congratulations, Melissa A. Woo-woo. You are now a member. I'll be in contact with you. So congratulations. You won the raffle today. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like to answer some questions in the Q&A. So thank you guys so much for staying on. I know we're a little bit over the time, but I'm just going to rapid fire if you don't mind, Antonio, because we do have some great questions in here. So we even have a question from Carl Sheely. Go.
Okay. Are you going to start with Ruben's first?
Yes, I can. I was just jumping to his because it was a good one and we like talked about it towards the end.
All right, go ahead. You go ahead, Alexa. Thank you.
Does the state license negate the need for the county license? Does the state cover under 30-day rentals?
So the state license is 6 months or less, and it doesn't negate. You actually need both. So you need to go to 4 different agencies. Okay, we're gonna go over that in the in the workshop. But yeah, you have to have all of them. You can't just have one. I think you could skip out on the local one if you don't collect taxes, meaning if it's not a direct booking with you and the platform that you are, like let's say you're only on Airbnb or VRBO, you actually write a notarized letter to that particular agency, and they won't bother you for it.
Awesome. Okay. All right. How is the fact that rentals went up a lot, so much, affecting your arbitrage short-term rental business in South Florida? Somebody's, really concerned about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be concerned too. What happens is that your margins are obviously going to go down, but surprisingly, I was on a Zoom with, and we'll go over this in the workshop. I was doing a Zoom with Francisco, and he was showing me actually the margins are actually higher in Miami-Dade than in Broward, and to me that was really surprising. So we're going to go over that in the workshop, looking at where rental prices are now. What are the better counties to be able to make the most amount of money at, where the margins are higher? And many of you will be surprised if you guys, when you guys register, and don't tell Francisco I said this, but it's the answer is the Panhandle. That's where the money is being made. But don't say I said that, because you'll probably get mad at me.
We got to look at the data. That's it. The data. So, obviously you mentioned the property management company. You use one. Somebody's asking your thoughts on that. I'm sure you're going to get much more into detail in that workshop on Saturday. Do you have any quick comments about property management companies?
Yeah, absolutely. So the quick thing that I'll say about the property management company is that, it doesn't have to be like a full service, right? Like they don't have to run absolutely everything for you. In my case, I've gotten up to, it was like three different properties at the same time. And at that time, I didn't have the team to back me up, but still, it was still manageable, right? And you're saving, if you have somebody like the industry standard is 25, it can go as far as 35%, right? Of your gross revenue, and it's gross, right? So it's not net, right? So meaning that out of that gross revenue, they're taking 35%, you're left with 65%. And out of that 65%, you got to pay your taxes, your insurance, your mortgage, right? Your maintenance, electricity, you got to pay, water, internet, right? You got to do all this stuff. So I think it really depends on how many properties you have.
Mm-hmm.
That really will dictate, if you should use a property management company. Another thing is that if you, let's say, are like, yeah, Antonio, you know what? I don't want to deal with this because where I make money is in this other area. Like, well, I'm a doctor, and, obviously I can't be in surgery and doing this, right? So what I would say to those folks is that, there's a lot of people, a lot of management companies that are not using this technology. So meaning if you go out and you take a day, right, and you learn about the different tools that are available, right? If you understand how to, what it really means to automate and optimize and all this stuff, then when you talk to a management company, right, you're going to know if these guys are like serious or not about making that extra money, because that's really what it is. It's about making extra money. That's why I decided to do my own thing. Because I did talk to a couple management companies, and I was like, are you guys using X and this and that and this and that? And they're like, what? I was like, never mind.
That's why you start on your own first, so you can see all those little cracks, like all the little things that go on. So
right. That's why the Saturday workshop is going to be, it's worth more than $500, guys.
Yeah, for sure. So I know people are asking, like, what book did you read? What are the websites like, can you quickly tell us the book, or we need to go to Saturday, obviously?
Saturday is going to be the day, you know what I mean? Where we're going to get into a lot more detail. So, I mean, like, I see Christopher, you got a bunch of good questions, man. You definitely, I mean, if you haven't registered already, like, that's what you need to do. So, because he has a bunch of wonderful questions.
Exactly. So detailed. Definitely going to have the time for that on Saturday. Gosh.
Yeah, there's a ton of questions. I'll answer some of them really rapid fire. Is it okay, Alexa?
Go for it.
Like Sharon says, if you use guest damage deposit for the property during their stay, do you give them a bad rating? I give them a fair rating, right? Like I just put it out there, what it is that they did. Like I had some guests who, I mean, I'm not going to go into details because it's pretty nasty, right? but I was out there and because you know what, if somebody's going to stay at my house and they did a bunch of stupid things at somebody else's house, guess what? I don't want you in my house as a host, right? Plus that degrades the community. That's why some hosts are so strict. Like, you know what I will tell everybody? You know what you should join? Go to Facebook and join like the Airbnb superhost groups. You're going to see a lot of different things happening, right? You're going to and pretty funny memes too. So
That's great. Good stuff. I love that. See, so many nuggets just in the webinar. I can't imagine the Saturday.
Ruben says, what if we can't attend the workshop on Saturday? It's in the works. We're definitely going to record it. I think you want to reach out to Alexa and see how you can purchase the recording. So I believe that's what we're going to do. So yeah.
Obviously can't get you that 30-minute consult, but we can definitely send me an email. We can talk about it because we obviously want everybody to be there on Saturday. It's going to be more interactive. We're going to be able to see each other. Cameras will be on, microphones will be on. We have guest speakers. So it's going to be actually incredible. It's the first time we're doing this, but Antonio, as you can see, he's locked and loaded with all this information, and Saturday is just going to be crazy. So no, we don't have a price for the recording. You pretty much need to buy a ticket, because we obviously want you to be there, but just send me an email. I will be sending each and every one of you a thank you email today. So you will be getting an email from me today with a link to purchase the workshop Saturday. And let me know if you have any questions. Obviously, our members get member pricing. So if you want to get that member pricing, we got to set up the membership. We want you guys to get the 30-minute consult, first 10 people who register. So yes, thank you guys for your questions. Gosh, you guys have so many questions. Oh man.
I love it. I love it.
Today was recorded, everyone. We will post the recording to our YouTube channel so you can review this. It will be uploaded in the next 48 hours. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you are notified as soon as that recording is uploaded. Let me know if you have any questions. You guys will all get an email from me today. So you will have my email. And then I want to make sure that you guys are prepared for Saturday. So make sure you email me today or tomorrow so that we can get you ready for this weekend. I'll give you guys some tips and tricks on how to prepare for the workshop. And you also need your Zoom link. So let's not be behind on this one. Let's get ahead and register now, especially so you get that 30-minute consult. It's only for the first 10 people. The member pricing is going to go down $100 for $399. So members, you get in for $399. I can't even imagine. This is just so much value for the price, but that's why we do this, because we're BPM RIA. So we're here to give that information as much as we can in the time that we have. So any last words, Antonio? I'm so excited for you because Saturday is going to be so good, especially with Francisco on. He's going to run through it and it's going to make your life so much easier. So I'm just really excited for you guys.
Yeah. And with Francisco, what I did was I like I said a couple of times, I had a Zoom with him, and at the end of the day, I asked him, I'm like, because I don't want to interrupt somebody in the middle of the thing, right? So I told him, I'm like, hey, Francisco, is it okay if I ask you questions as you're going through it? And he's like, absolutely. So that's good because, the same questions that I have, I'm sure that everybody is going to have, right? That's something that I learned a long time ago. So again, like Alexa was saying, guys, take advantage of this. This is worth way more than $500. As I'm going through it, I'm actually like realizing it. But with that being said, you want to take advantage of the 30-minute consult. You just the only thing I ask you is come ready, come locked and loaded with your questions. So like that, we can take full advantage of it. And I could run with you guys through whatever it is that you guys want. Okay. I love it. As you can see, I'm passionate about it. So make sure, sign up. If you're not a member, become a member. Today you'll save $100. So your membership only comes out to like $149. It's a no-brainer, right, guys? On top of all the other stuff that you can get. So
I'm already getting
And if you haven't done it yet, do it now.
I'm already getting so many emails. People are snatching up the 30.
Yeah, because man.
No, I'm so excited for you guys.
I'm excited too.
You guys, thank you so much for coming today to our webinar. I know we went over the time, but oh, it was so good. And Saturday is going to be even better. So look out for my thank you email. I'll have the link to register for Saturday. Any other things, any other questions, make sure you reply to my email. Super easy. Alexa, like the Amazon thing, at bpmreia.com. So look out for that email. I'll be in touch and want to get you guys all ready to go before Saturday, before Friday. By tomorrow, I want you guys to be ready for Saturday.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Like I said, people are snatching up the 30-minute consults already. So go and get on it. All the events are posted to the website. Our next webinar is Thursday with Anish. So see you guys all again on Thursday. We have a raffle on Thursday just because you guys stayed so long. So I'm obviously going to tell you the secret. It's not a secret, but we're giving away a seat to our 2-day quick start in the webinar on Thursday. So there you go. Thank you guys for staying on late. Go get the 30-minute consult with Antonio and look out for my email. We'll see you guys on Thursday and Saturday. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Antonio. We will see you soon.
Thank you, Alexa.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.